So now that Boris Johnson has officially resigned as Prime Minister of the UK, we now have a new face of the Conservative Party in Britain, and her name is Liz Truss. Now, I don't think a lot of people know much about Liz Truss, so I thought I'd make a quick video outlining who she is and what is she promising to her voters. Don't go away. If you rewind the clock, she was actually a Liberal Democrat back in her early days of politics, where she would attend various left-wing conferences and even call for the abolition or the denouncement of the monarchy.
Liberal Democrats believe in opportunity for all. We believe in fairness and common sense. We believe in referenda on major constitutional issues. We do not believe that people should be born to rule, or that they should put up and shut up about decisions that affect their everyday lives. Do you, conference, believe that? Do you?
She had very left-wing parents when she grew up, and they would attend a lot of marches, be very, very outspoken against people such as Margaret Thatcher. They were very much involved with CND, which is a Stop Wars campaign, and she would even attend, according to sources, these rallies and shout things such as Maggie, 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 out, out, out. The classics. And she was actually mocked by Russian media because of the photos, the ones in Estonia last November of 2021, when she was Foreign Secretary under Boris Johnson's government, and it was her in a massive tank, and it looked very similar to Margaret Thatcher's 1970s photos as well. The public didn't really know who she was. I think she went viral back in 2014 when a video emerged online of her as Environment Secretary during the Tory Lib Dem coalition, where she was giving a speech at a Conservative Party conference about cheese imports.
At the moment, we import 2/3 of all of our apples. We import 9/10 of all of our pears. We import 2/3 of our cheese. That is a disgrace.
Then over the course since 2014, she shifted through many different cabinet roles, of course, then leading the Department for International Trade under Boris Johnson's government. She actually campaigned as well to be a Remainer. She voted to remain in the EU, which was rather interesting, and then later declared that she actually regretted the vote and is now a vehement Brexiteer. Apparently. What makes it so interesting is also she's very pro-global Britain, quite the opposite to what a Brexiteer would traditionally vote for, where she announced a partnership with, you've guessed it, the World Economic Forum. Of course, who else would it be? She tweeted, and hasn't taken it down yet, "Great discussion at the World Economic Forum on fixing the international trade system. As an independent trading nation, global Britain will work with like-minded democracies to champion free and fair trade. It's time we had rules fit for the 21st century." Of course, she's in partnership with the World Economic Forum. I mean, did you expect anything less or anything different? During the primaries for the next leader of the Conservative Party, obviously, nobody asked anything about the World Economic Forum and her involvement with this anti-human organisation. Nothing. So, what will this World Economic Forum affiliate bring to the table of the UK? What are her promises? So let's go through them. The energy crisis is, of course, a top priority, where 3/4 of pubs could see closure. Millions of businesses or small businesses could just go under this winter due to the rising costs. Households are going to struggle massively to pay their bills. So her policy is to freeze the energy prices, freeze them for 18 months. And this policy could actually cost as much as £130 billion. So it's going to cost £130 billion to freeze it, potentially. But then we'll still have to pay that back anyway in the future. Okay.
I will act immediately on bills and on energy supply, because I think those two things go hand in hand. We need to deal with the immediate problem. We need to help people. We need to help businesses. But we also need to sort out the supply issues.
Best cancel more pledges to Ukraine then. If you haven't worked this out already, that the sanctions are actually hurting us more than, the Russians or the oligarchs in Russia. It's not really actually doing much to them. She wants to cut taxes, and where she's announced £30 billion worth of tax cuts, including income tax and VAT, and she would reverse the national insurance rise and lift green levies on energy bills for 2 years, and even review inheritance tax and scrapping the corporation tax rise. However, £311 billion was borrowed during the pandemic, according to sources, and she's looking to put the COVID debt on a longer term footing, which could mean refinancing the £311 billion so that it's paid back over a long period of time. For immigration, she agrees with the Rwanda policy because, of course, that's worked out so well. And she would be prepared to withdraw from the ECHR, the European Courts of Human Rights, if necessary, to, of course, combat the crossings and stop the lawyers from blocking deportations. She backs net zero. Surprise, surprise, of course, because she's, part of the WEF, of course. But wants to hold a moratorium on net zero by 2030. She has suggested, however, she wants to end the ban on fracking. She also plans to go ahead with drilling for gas and oil in the North Sea to help with the energy need. Now, I'm for that, personally, but it's a bit counterintuitive if you're backing net zero, yet you want to remove all of that. So which side is she on? She supports the current thing in Ukraine, of course, and I would argue she's trying to outshine Boris in her support for the current thing, where she has described herself in the past as a freedom fighter for Ukraine. And don't forget, she also backed Brits to go and fight in Ukraine against Russia on national television.
The people of Ukraine are fighting for freedom and democracy, not just for Ukraine, but for the whole of Europe, because that is what President Putin is challenging. And absolutely, if people want to support that struggle, I would support them in doing that.
For housing, she's accused the housing targets as Stalinist and wants to make it quicker and easier for developers to build on brownfield land in opportunity areas, as she said. But this housing crisis isn't going to mitigate if you don't tackle the immigration and illegal immigration problem that we have in this country. She also wants to take on the unions and has vowed to take tough and decisive action to stop trade unions grinding Britain to a halt with strikes, and would legislate for cooling off periods so unions can no longer walk out as many times as they like within 6 months of their members backing industrial action. Now, I've made it pretty clear how I feel about Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, the government in general. Until they denounce them being a part of this anti-human organisation, it's just theatre to me. It's just a circus. While some pledges sound good, I think it's important to keep the receipts, and until they denounce these anti-human organisations such as the WEF, as soon as they start denouncing outright things such as net zero and putting the citizens of this country first, I do not trust anything that comes out of their mouths or the opposition's mouth. And that's just how I feel. If you're enjoying these types of videos, you can actually help me over at ukreporters.co.uk, where you can keep yourself up to date with all of my latest reports. Thank you.